The Google Pixel range of devices have been the undisputed kings of the smartphone photography world ever since its inception 2 years ago. The Pixel phones don't always have the best hardware, but they always manage to more than bridge that gap and achieve spectacular results with software processing and algorithm. Perhaps the most awaited feature this year is Night Sight. This is Sandeep from RevAtlas. Let's take a look at how it works. Let me start out by saying that Night Sight is one of the new features announced alongside the third generation of Pixel devices by Google, and that it's officially still unavailable even for the Pixel 3 devices. However, thanks to clever people of the internet, it's already available for us to make use of, and here's what we think of it. We'll include a link in the description below to try it out on your Pixel device and maybe even any other Android device that you may have, since it might just work. So this new camera APK also changes in terms of the UI compared to the existing Pixel camera app, and you'll notice that the app itself will recommend you to use the night sight mode when the light drops below normal. Once chosen, the live preview itself will be able to pick up objects or scenes that the regular mode wouldn't have shown you. However, focus is still very difficult unless you have sufficient information or a light source to work with. Nonetheless, the difference it makes to the photo is insane. From seeing just complete darkness to at least being able to understand what is in the frame is a lot. Google has capped the image stacking to a total shutter speed of 1/3 seconds. We are assuming that anything longer might have resulted in unwanted shakes, and hence why it's capped at that. It may choose a faster shutter speed if there's more light, but it doesn't seem to take anything longer. Here are some examples which showcase how night mode helps in low light situations. It seems like night mode gives sharper, more detailed photos with better colors as well. Now, we can't entirely credit Google for this Night Sight feature. Like the portrait mode that they've mastered, Night Sight 2 is a re-implementation of a feature that was first introduced by Huawei. The P20 Pro in particular showcased the huge leap in terms of low-light imagery that can be achieved through image stacking and a combination of OIS as well as EIS. So it makes sense to compare the two. The first thing to keep in mind, however, is that the P20 Pro has a larger and more impressive sensor and camera hardware to start off with, so that gives an advantage right off the bat even without much processing magic. It features a triple camera system, of which the primary camera is a huge 1x1.7 inch sensor with 40 megapixels of resolution, f1.8 aperture, and a secondary 20 megapixel f1.6 monochrome camera to enhance the sharpness, details, contrast, and low light abilities. It has a telephoto camera too, but that isn't involved in enhancing the low light capabilities. The Pixel 2 XL, like the Pixel 2, 3 and 3 XL, make use of a single 12 megapixel f1.8 1x2.55 inch sensor with 1.4 micron pixel size. Let's take a look at the regular HDR photos first. This photo shot on the P20 Pro is brighter and has very low noise despite a very high ISO 12800 chosen by it, as well as lower contrast, and seems very undersaturated. Funnily enough, the Pixel 2 XL chose a lower ISO of around 1200 despite having a smaller sensor, but has a noisier or similarly noisy image. That just shows how good the noise reduction algorithm is on the P20 Pro despite having chosen an ISO that's 10 times as high. However, the Pixel 2 XL photo has better contrast and it opted for a longer 1/8 second shutter speed, but it got the colors right. Now shifting to the night mode, you see that the P20 Pro shot is much better in terms of color and is very sharp compared to the previous HDR shot. This shot took 17 seconds to process, so essentially the phone captured many different frames in different exposures and layered them together to get this effect. This was shot while the phone was resting on a surface with support on both the X and Y axis, which is why there is no object blurring or shake. P20 Pro opted for an ISO of 100. Now coming to the Pixel, which I feel looks more impressive since it seems sharper and the contrast is better too, but is a bit more saturated like most other Pixel shots are. It's also marginally more noisy, but you can't really make that out unless you zoom in, and it has chosen a higher ISO of 732 but got the shot in just 1/3 seconds. Now this is a situation where the light is very low and the Pixel struggles here to get anything in focus and even get a decently exposed frame. The P20 Pro, however, manages a fairly well exposed frame with decent focus but prone to blurring since it opted for a longer shutter speed despite being in HDR mode. Now when you turn the night mode on both, you'll see a much better result from the Pixel, which now at least you can identify the scene with, and also better focus, but the image is still quite noisy and has some blurring as well. The P20 Pro on the other hand seems to have much better stabilization compared to the HDR mode. Perhaps it works a bit in overdrive when the night mode is turned on. The focus is better, sharpness is good, and also managed great stabilization even though both were shot handheld. Here are some more samples to compare the P20 Pro as well as the Pixel 2 XL night modes. It seems like if you want to take photos in completely pitch dark situations, then the P20 Pro is still better thanks to a larger sensor, slightly better OIS, EIS, and also alignment algorithm that adjusts for shakes very well. But if kept stable and also when the light doesn't go too low, the Pixel 2 XL can do better if not as good. It's only under extremely low light conditions where the P20 Pro can really stand out and provide much better results. However, the night mode and night sight feature isn't actually meant for complete darkness where it would still produce less than stellar results, but is meant for low light situations where normal phones can't really do much, but these two phones can really optimize it and make much better results with the help of software. We just put some instances to show you what you can expect and the level of software optimization that goes into this to actually get such results. Now, as far as the results are concerned, they should remain practically the same, if not largely similar on the 3 and 3 XL, since the rear camera hardware is practically unchanged compared to a 2 and 2 XL. Of course, there will be further refinements to the processing and there will be less of bugs and misses when it releases officially, but the images are quite promising nonetheless. So to conclude, night sight is a spectacular feature and one that opens a world of possibilities not just for Pixel users but for every Android smartphone user, considering how the camera app has been ported to so many different devices in the past, and especially in terms of the dynamic range and portrait mode, and how that has totally improved their photography capabilities tremendously. This is one feature you must try, and I really like to thank Google for their hard work on driving the industry forward, since their efforts, at least indirectly, help everyone, and also for the people working hard to port such software onto other phones for people to enjoy. Thanks for watching this video. See you again in the next one.